I'm Gerard Paul, the pro-life guy. You know, sometimes politicians, officials, people in power and authority, sometimes they have their own agenda that they want to fulfill. But they're not going to let the American public know about these agendas, okay? Because, frankly, they don't want to piss off the American public because we're not the kind of people that like to be pissed off. But anyway, this is from the Pro-Life Reporter. And this is concerning an article in the New York Times in which the New York Times interviewed Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So it can be looked up. It's quite legitimate. Okay? Recent comments in the New York Times interview by Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg have shed light on the real agenda of the abortion advocacy movement. In a response to a question by reporter Emily Bazelon in the July 7, 2009 edition of that paper, so you can look it up, Ginsburg indicated that she was surprised by the 1980 Harris versus McRae ruling upholding the Hyde Amendment, which prohibits federal taxpayer funding of abortion. She was surprised that they upheld a ruling prohibiting federal taxpayer funding of abortion? Well, now you know where she stands. She wants you to pay for abortions. She doesn't mind that at all. Bazelon quotes her as saying, and now this is Ruth Bader Ginsburg talking, "Frankly, I thought that at the time Roe was decided, there was concern about population growth, and particularly growth in populations that we don't want too many of." What population is she talking about that we don't want too many of? You got to understand, this is about abortion in America that she's speaking about, not the whole world. Let me say that again. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg speaking. "Frankly, I thought that at the time Roe was decided, there was concern about population growth, and particularly growth in populations that we don't want to have too many of." What could she be talking about? This is about abortion in America. What populations do we not want to have too many of? Get what I'm saying? It goes on to say that Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in the United States. Its original title, upon finding, was the National Birth Control League. Its founder was Margaret Sanger, an outspoken eugenicist. Sanger is quoted as having said, "More children from the fit, less from the unfit. That is the chief aim of birth control." She defined the unfit as all non-Aryan people. That means anybody who wasn't white. In the 1930s, Margaret Sanger created the Negro Project, designed to promote birth control and sterilization within the black community. In 1939, she wrote, "The poorer areas, particularly in the South, are producing alarmingly more than their share of future generations." She's talking about the blacks. 75% of abortion clinics are in areas with a high minority population. 14 million black babies have been aborted since 1973. That's equal to 1/3 of the number of blacks living in the United States today. They killed 1/3 of the black population. Now you can see where Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger and the abortion crowd, now you can see who they're targeting, as well as getting rid of more people besides that. I mean, we've had almost 52 million babies killed in the United States since abortion started. Clarence Gamble, heir of Procter & Gamble, he's like a bigwig, you know, owned Procter & Gamble. In a memo to Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger entitled "Suggestions for the Negro Project," in which he suggested that black leaders should be placed in positions where it would appear that they were in charge. Margaret Sanger wrote back, "We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through religious appeal. So she was going to use religion to kill off the black population. You know, she didn't believe in God. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. See? Not only was she into population control, she was also into mind control. This is the way people think today. Believe me. Barack Obama, in a July 17, 2007 speech before Planned Parenthood, said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks to all of you at Planned Parenthood for all the work that you are doing for men and for women all across the country, and for families all across the country, and for men who have enough sense to realize that you are helping them all across the country." He's talking about fathers, you know, who have a baby with a woman and the father don't want it. He wants nothing to do with it. Planned Parenthood is helping them. That's what he's talking about. Barack Obama, our colored minister, is well prepared, isn't he? Barack Obama voted to keep partial birth abortion legal. The Born Alive Act is a law to protect a child that was born alive after a botched operation or after a botched abortion. In other words, the abortionist does the abortion, the baby comes out alive. And that was a law that would make them help that baby to stay alive, to hospitalize that baby. Barack Obama voted against it. He voted against medical assistance for a baby that comes out alive. Goes to show you where his heart is. You know, Margaret Sanger would have loved Barack Obama. And now Barack Obama is going to sign the FOCA Act. But he won't sign it until after the health care bill gets voted on and comes into fruition. See, once he has the health care bill in his hands, then he will sign the FOCA Act. He couldn't sign the FOCA Act now, because if he signed the Freedom of Choice Act right now, which brings back partial birth abortion, takes away parental notification, and takes away the conscience clause. The conscience clause, let me explain, is something where if you're against abortion, you don't have to do abortion in hospitals if you work there. There's 300 other laws, 300 other restrictions concerning abortions that the Freedom of Choice Act will take away. But if he had signed that already, nobody would pass the health care bill, because the health care bill is going to fund the Freedom of Choice Act. The health care bill is going to fund FOCA. It's going to fund all the taxpayer-paid abortions. And he can't have that come out right now. Otherwise, he won't even get the health care bill. So he's going to let the health care bill come out first. Then he's going to sign the FOCA Act. And the FOCA Act, why do they need it? I mean, think about it. A woman can get an abortion at any time right now, basically. So why the big push for FOCA? Think about it. Why the big push for the Freedom of Choice Act? There must be something to it. You know, abortion clinics are allowed to sell the body parts of the babies. They sell the brains, they sell the arms, the legs, the kidneys, the heart, the liver. I mean, they get $1,500 just for the brain. They make a lot of money off of these baby body parts. They sell them to research facilities and clinics around the world. Do they want FOCA so that this way they can have more late-term abortions and a lot more of these body parts are more viable and they're bigger and they survive? Is that what it's all about? Is it about the money? Is it about depopulation? Think about it. Just think about it, my friends. Because not too many people think about this issue. I'm just trying to get you to run it around in your mind. If you want to find out all about FOCA, the Freedom of Choice Act, go on to www.fightfoca.com. I thank you for watching my video. Save the babies.